Good morning to everyone at the ACCAN 2017 conference. I'm very pleased to be joining you from London, and I'm very sorry that I can't be there personally. I'd like to start by congratulating ACCAN for their excellent work in organising this year's conference. It's great to see such a broad representation of different stakeholders in attendance. This year's theme, Your Place in the Connected World, presents so many different questions about connected consumers and their relationship with the digital world. Today, I'd like to talk about why building trust is so important if we are to unlock the opportunities that the connected world can offer consumers. The prize, if we can build a digital world that everyone can trust, is clear. In Africa, 1 million hand pumps supply 200 million rural water users. 1/3 of hand pumps were thought to be broken at any one time. The introduction of a smart hand pump in Kenya with sensors that could detect faults and get fixes done quickly led to a 10-fold reduction in problems. And then in the UK, doctors are trialling the use of Internet of Things technology to help them pick up signs of changes in behaviour for patients with dementia. Sensors attached to kettles, fridges and even beds can give vital early clues as to how someone's doing. Are they making the tea as usual? Are they eating food from the fridge? Picking up and acting on these signs can help people stay well and reduce hospital admissions. These stories show why it's so important that we talk together about how we can achieve this kind of success for everyone, no matter where they live or who they are. And according to Deloitte, connecting the rest of the world's population to the internet would mean an increase in economic activity that could generate $2.2 trillion in additional GDP. For those in higher income countries, where the online population can reach upwards of 90%, there is still much to gain if we can go forward to the next step of what digital really has to offer. But none of this can happen without trust. Or can it? Well, we can push on through the way that we have been, aware of the problems, finding fixes and patches as we go along. We can continue to convince ourselves that mass uptake and satisfaction with service quality is the same as satisfaction with business models, corporate practice and ethics. We can imagine that the size and momentum of digital practice is so big, so unstoppable, that we can ignore the clear signals from consumers about what this world can feel like at the receiving end. But to not properly address these warning signs would really be missing a trick. Missing an opportunity to humanise technology, to co-design better services, to make the system inclusive for everyone. It would be missing the key point that despite the enthusiasm and appreciation of what digital interconnectivity can do, it brings both positives and negatives. Let's briefly look at the paradox of connection. The beauty of so much that digital has given us is that it's all connected. We can connect in ways that we would not have dreamed possible even a generation ago. The downside of so much that is digital is that it's all connected. So when everyday things like payments mess up, or updates slow down a device, or when uncanny decisions are made about us based on our habits, it erodes our faith in the other amazing things that we can do with digital. Low consumer trust is not conducive to building growth and to creating opportunities. When we're tracked online and bombarded with advertising, it makes us reluctant to share other types of data that could help shape better transport systems, better healthcare. When businesses tell us they're compliant, but ticking a box doesn't make us feel confident, when women are threatened or stalked online, it can make them withdraw from public discourse. When it feels impossible to keep your children safe online, we might be fearful of letting them explore and develop the skills they need to succeed in a digital world. Maybe part of the problem is that we too often describe the digital world only in terms of numbers, how fast it is, how many billion connected devices there are. But we need to start thinking not just about how much we could grow, but how we could grow. We must start listening to ordinary people as consumers, as citizens, and as representatives of future generations. If technology is going to increasingly integrate into people's lives, it's no longer enough to say it will bring convenience or save money. It has to offer more than that, more than just a transaction. We shouldn't just think about simple transactional trust, the nuts and bolts of a transaction between a business and a consumer, or consumers and consumers. Instead, we must think more roundly about trust in the whole experience. Reflecting on the purpose, listening to people, and thinking about their whole experience online. Well, this could all too easily be dismissed as stifling innovation or progress. It's not. In fact, it's the definition of progress. In a situation where technology is rapidly breaking through previously assumed limitations and disrupting economies and society more widely, to progress means to bring people along on the journey. So who do we trust to build a better digital world? The fact is, it's up to all of us. No single entity can reassure trust. Over the past year, our focus has been on bringing global attention to key issues facing consumers in the digital world. For World Consumer Rights Day 2017, our Better Digital World campaign brought together more than 130 consumer organisations in 92 countries. Our social media campaign reached 9 million people, and it also attracted significant attention from the global media outlets. On World Consumer Rights Day, we also co-hosted the first ever G20 Consumer Summit in Berlin, Germany. We presented a set of recommendations to the G20 on behalf of the consumer movement that called for the G20 to take action in a number of areas important to consumer trust in the digital economy. In July, we were delighted to see that the G20's Leaders' Declaration recommended that, and I quote, "Trust in digital technologies requires effective consumer protection," and that privacy, data protection, security, access and inclusion, and e-commerce are all key areas that need to be addressed if we are to build consumer trust in the digital world. Our achievements at the G20 Summit have given us a platform to build on this work, and we're already working with the Argentinian government ahead of them taking over the presidency to see how we can take the G20 forward in 2018. Later this month, we will be hosting a working group on making cross-border e-commerce work for consumers at the World Trade Organization Public Forum in Geneva. The event will showcase discussions and views from consumer organisations, governing bodies and the private sector. E-commerce will also be the theme of next year's World Consumer Rights Day, and we look forward to working with our members across the world to ensure that campaign messages reach as many people as possible in 2018. And on the topic of connected consumers, we're working with BEIC, the European Consumer Association, ANIC, the European Standards Organisation, and ICRT, the International Testing Body, on a set of 9 principles for securing consumer trust in the Internet of Things. These principles will form the basis from which specific recommendations in terms of policy, standards, testing, and business practice will be developed. By working together, we can all build a better digital world that works for everyone. Thank you for listening and have a great conference.